following program is intended for mature audiences.
Listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
This is something I'd expect out of a sketch comedy show.
So this guy up in Newfie, he's like, hey, kid, why don't you play better? And all these parents are all like, hey, don't you yell at my kid like that, eh? And he's like, whatever, I'm not like ISIS or anything, right? And, yeah.
Maybe you should stick to the tiddlywinks in the PlayStation, eh?
Yeah.
I'm not a terrorist. That's like ISIS stuff. They use knives.
Right. Since I'm not shooting people and cutting off their heads or anything, it's okay if I yell at a bunch of kids playing hockey.
Yeah.
I can't believe a team forfeited a game.
Hey,
I can't.
They're 18 to 22. They're not kids. They can take it, right? So don't you tell me that they're just some kid or anything like that.
I love this where it's like the St. John's Junior Hockey League technically couldn't ban Sims as those restrictions are individually enforced by each team, so they pursued the most Canadian strategy, a strongly worded letter asking Sims not to attend games or practices.
We'll show him. We're going to send him a strongly worded letter.
We, as the St. John's Caps, would please like you to not visit our rinks anymore. No. I can do what I want. It's a free country, right?
Well, he said he's coming. I guess we can't do anything about it.
Guys, he said no, so I don't... What do we do?
I wish we had... Is there any video of him actually in the stands that we can see, or is that...
No, there's just a report.
The news report. Yeah.
That's too bad.
I love that. If hockey moms can't handle me yelling and heckling at the rinks, I think they should stick to crosswords and knitting.
He's really making a lot of friends, isn't he?
And if the young young men, I should say, can't handle a bit of heckling, they should stick to tiddlywinks and PlayStation.
God.
Oh, yeah. Go Caps, go.
Like, doesn't that just look like the face of a winner?
I always go to the thought process. What made him wake up one day and decide, this is what I want to do? That just blows my mind. It just baffles me.
To be fair, he lives in where? St. John's?
St. John's,
Newfoundland. I don't know if he has that much more to do.
I'm going to refrain from disparaging remarks about the great province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
And Labrador. I get two.
They amended the Constitution to change the name from Newfoundland to Newfoundland and Labrador. So the Labradorians wouldn't feel left out.
Isn't Labrador just an island full of dogs?
No. Newfoundland is the island. Labrador is the big chunk of land hanging off Quebec that Quebec has always claimed, but Newfoundland's like, no, it's ours, eh?
Actually, they're both dogs, Zach. Newfoundlands are a breed of dog as well.
Yeah, I know.
There's Greg with your Animal Planet update of the week.
The whole province from end to end is just stock full of dogs, junior hockey, and people who heckle teenagers.
Isn't Newfoundland where Trailer Park Boys supposedly takes place? Or is that no, it's Nova Scotia, right?
That's Nova Scotia,
Okay, all right.
Oh, no, Nova Scotia. That's got more O's in it, so therefore more. Oh.
I love how Newfoundland was named. The British landed there and were like, well, it's a land that's
found land.
We found a new land. Newfoundland. There we go.
Hey, where did we come from? We came from Jersey. I declare this New Jersey. All right,
New Hampshire, New York, New Brunswick,
New Amsterdam.
Nova Scotia is just Latin for New Scotland.
Yeah,
really?
But at least they got creative. They're like, hey, New Scotland. No.
No. Let's class it up a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always go back to the thought process. Just what I can even see doing this for one day, just because you just say, okay, today I'm going to go out, I'm going to be a complete douchebag just to see what happens. But every day,
he's peaked in high school Rob Lowe.
Well, that's a good point. All right, I still don't get the thought process.
He was probably a monster junior B hockey player. And now wants to toughen up all these kids, even though they're never going to do anything with their hockey career.
Yeah, this isn't exact. These kids aren't exactly on like the express lane to the NHL.
It's junior B. They're 18 to 22.
Would this be the equivalent to like an independent minor league team in baseball, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for younger kids, yeah.
But
boys,
they aren't fast-tracking to the NHL, basically.
No.
They're not fast-tracking to the NHL. They're better than a high school team, but not good enough to be a,
Gotcha.
I love one of the accusations. Apparently he yelled at some woman that he was going to cut her head off and use it to clean the rink. This story just amazes me. Like, go Canada. Go Canada. Come on, go us. We are just rocking it.
True North, strong and free.
I've never understood why the University of Hawaii isn't the best football team of all time. Like, a team from Ohio should never, ever win a national championship in football. It just should never happen.
Nobody should ever want
you shouldn't be able to keep anybody here. I mean, I'm just saying, let's say that you've got 5, I don't know how many visits you're allowed to get as a football player. Let's say it's 5. And your choices are Ohio State, Florida State, USC, UCLA, and we'll throw Hawaii in just for fun. And you're going to be the idiot that picks Ohio out of those 5 choices. That's what I'm saying.
Tradition and power and strength.
Mm-hmm. And winner. It just baffles me. A lot of things baffle me, though. You don't get smarter as you get older. You just get more confused, basically. That's what happens. But anyway, so should I break the news to Zach, Mike, of what's happened to me over the past few days?
Oh, it's going to be fantastic, yes.
Yeah, well, it seems...
What's going on, Greg?
Well, it seems that Andy and Mike, in their evil plan, have sucked me into the WWE.
Oh, no.
Yes, I am one of them now.
Google gobble, one of us, one of us.
Well, to be fair, you're not the only one. ESPN on Sunday night on SportsCenter ran full WrestleMania highlights.
Really?
Like a full set of WrestleMania highlights. Like it was an actual game that was on that needed to be covered.
It's a big event.
I know it's a big event, but it's still not actual sports. Right?
No, it's sports entertainment.
No, but Ronda Rousey was there.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey was there. That was I didn't get to see it, but I heard it was pretty cool.
Gimmick. But and it wasn't just SportsCenter; it was all over their Twitter feed. Like SportsCenter put out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 5 tweets about the results of WrestleMania.
I did a WrestleMania 31 search, just a Google search for news. I could not get over the CBS Sports had a whole panel discussion that they printed on their website, and there was all sorts of what quote unquote legitimate news places that were talking about it. It blew me away.
Yeah,
it's cool. So how was WrestleMania, Mike? I didn't get to see it, but from what I could read on the boards, you guys are pretty happy with it.
I don't want to give away too much because Andy, Brass, and myself are going to be covering WrestleMania in our post-show, so I don't want to give too much away, but I'm going to say I thoroughly enjoyed the show. 1 or 2 missteps here or there I didn't particularly care for, but all in all, just fantastic.
Where was it at?
It was at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought, yeah.
I will say
Vince McMahon made a big deal about how they were there before the Super Bowl.
Great.
Which means that he managed to schedule his pre-scheduled event before the NFL did, so there you go, Vince.
I know that The Undertaker won. I'm happy about that.
The Undertaker did win, yes. And he looked much better than he had. Like the past couple of years, The Undertaker's come out and quite frankly has kind of looked kind of sad.
Yeah.
But he actually looked like healthier.
Well, I watched you can watch the match he had against Triple H last year on YouTube, and I watched that, and I was just like, this is not my Undertaker that I'm watching here.
It was even worse against Lesnar. But no, I don't know what he did.
That's what I mean, Lesnar. That's what I'm talking about, Lesnar, not Triple H. Sorry, yeah.
If he just needed some time off, like maybe he just needed some time to get himself together. But he looked much better this past WrestleMania. So,
but yeah, anyway, they have dragged me in. I actually I've been watching. I watched 2 episodes of Raw last night, and I just wanted to come out to the world. Yes, I've become a wrestling fan. We'll see if it sticks. I don't know, but here I am. By the way, guys, this week, basically a sports show is being brought to you by the Seattle Mariners' new alternate jersey. That is our jersey of the week.
The new alternate jersey?
The new alternate jersey.
Oh, yeah, the
cream and
blue and gold, yes.
I rather like that because Phantom Dreamer is probably so pissed off that they didn't go back.
Is it not a pullover?
It's not a pullover.
No, it's a button-up. It's basically the jersey they wear now, except it's in the blue and gold with the cream color. That's it, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's just the current uniform recolored in the retro colors.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about logos, you want to talk about logos?
Yeah, well, speaking of logos, we got to talk about the big reveal on our very own boards, right?
very own Chris Creamer SportsLogos.net. New logo.
Yeah.
A maple leaf bisected by some dynamic line with a star.
Wait.
Inside a roundel, Greg.
Oh, God, I loved it. I texted Mike as soon as I saw it. I'm like, it's a roundel. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I got a text in the middle of work. It's a roundel.
It's a roundel.
I'm proud of myself because I called it. I said it's going to be a star and a maple leaf and a roundel, and it's going to say established 1997.
Before we go any further, guys, since we're all three veterans of the boards, let's make sure that we have our story straight here on what we think of it.
Because we are all in cahoots.
We're in cahoots, right, yeah. So.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Like I said, we can't even agree what color the Browns' face mask should be.
Right.
And we're all going to have the hive mind.
Yeah, I think I refer to it as being slightly less difficult than getting 500 cats to march in a parade will be getting all of us to agree on one thing. But anyway, so I love it. I think it's a great logo. What do you guys think?
Looks neat.
Yeah, I like it. There's a lot of people that are not a fan of the line that's cutting it in half. I like it because I saw it as this dynamic kind of slash,
right? Exactly.
Not just a straight up line cutting them in half.
It's a slash, and each end of the slash is a point, which represents the iconic jaws of Husky Stadium.
Yeah, but then somebody also I saw this initially, and somebody else pointed it out, but it kind of looks like a Winnipeg Jet logo that's crashing straight into the ground.
It does.
I saw that, I was like,
God damn it.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
So now I can't unsee a jet crashing into the ground. But yeah, I love it.
I bought a hat.
I like it without the roundel because that's just me.
No.
The roundel is.
Yeah.
I
also like that the partial logo is in a circle because not only is it North American sports like the Leaf and Star would have you believe, but it's a global thing.
Oh, Chris did a great job.
We've got to get cricket in there so we're not racists.
Yeah, and Chris did a great job of doing a little Nike speak with their release. I loved it.
Yeah, no, a little tongue-in-cheek. It was good. Glad that they moved it off of April Fool's Day, too.
Yeah. My favorite part of the whole teasing process was when he released the teaser image in black and gold and it said sportslogos.net. We have a rapper from our city.
San Jose finally unleashed their minor league hockey team for next year.
Isn't it perfect? Isn't this not the greatest logo ever?
The San Jose Barracuda.
Yeah, it's got every element you would want. It's angry. It has a hockey stick. Come on.
It's an angry fish holding a hockey stick with its arms that fish don't have in front of a corporate logo.
Was it the Barracuda Network?
Yeah,
or something?
One of San Jose's big sponsors is Barracuda Networks, and that little spiky thing behind the Barracuda that's also its front two teeth on the fish part is the logo for Barracuda Networks.
And I thought that represented a dorsal fin of a shark or something like that. No. Okay.
No. They also didn't fix the stick.
No.
The stick still has a wooden knob at the end, which sticks don't have.
Which made me question if anyone in the San Jose Sharks organization actually watches hockey.
Oh, probably not.
Then they're going to have this awful orange jersey, too. I hate it.
Where's the jersey? I can't find the jersey.
Okay, I'll link you to the
if you
post.
click on the link that I posted.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Ooh. Oh,
yeah,
that's horrible.
I mean, they're just the Sharks jerseys with that thing on the front. But I don't know. The whole thing just looks weird. If it was just the fish, maybe fine, okay, it's still kind of dumb. Then the two triangles don't really balance it out behind it. It just makes it look busy.
Yeah.
And I actually like the SJ logo version, but
the SJ logo doesn't seem all that much better to me because the weakest part of this whole thing is the Barracuda itself, and it just looks bad.
I agree.
And also the fact that Barracuda
is singular.
Supposedly Barracuda can be used plural like moose, but
yeah, but come on,
you could call them the Barracudas, and nobody would, bat
every other team named after Barracudas has called themselves the Barracudas.
Yeah.
So let's say over-under on how many times the Heart song Barracuda gets played at their games. I'm going to say 30.
Oh, too many.
Yeah, way too many.
Probably in that same fucking keytar that they used to play their goal song.
The Colts also had a uniform-related April Fool's. They put out a thing saying that they were going to wear all white uniforms next year with white numbers, white names, white logo. So the whole thing was just white.
And it's like, if they can't see our numbers, then they can't track us.
I first saw it on Instagram, and there were a bunch of people like, "Oh my God, we look so fresh and clean." And it's like, this is a joke. Look at the calendar.
People really bought into it and liked it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Oh, yeah.
For Pete's sake.
Which just goes to show me that that a team can do the dumbest thing possible, and some of their fans will fawn over it.
Okay, we're moving on to what? Baseball?
Baseball.
Opening day is Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night, Cardinals at Cubs.
Oh God, this better go the right way, or I might not have a second show with Andy.
Well, no, it's not necessarily about that, the game itself. It's about where the game's supposed to be played.
Or what happened to Wrigley Field?
Oh, geez, you haven't seen?
No, I haven't.
Oh, wait till you see this. It's a disaster.
Oh, Mike. Well, basically,
why aren't there chairs?
I was just going to say, the thing. What is probably the most famous thing about Wrigley Field besides the ivy? The bleacher people, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? There aren't going to be any bleacher people this year.
No, there's going to be no bleachers until at least June.
Why?
Because they were remodeling the outfield. Because
they had to put in a giant scoreboard.
Right. And so they had to tear down the whole thing. Well, here's the thing. You two gentlemen, as members of the North, you're aware that Chicago is not the most pleasant wintertime weather cities.
Probably not.
And that it's hard to do construction in bad wintertime weather. There's been delays. So Wrigley Field has no bleachers. And they're going to spend a couple months with – supposedly they're going to put giant tarps over the unfinished bleachers in the outfield.
Here's my question before we even go a step further.
So iconic Wrigley Field will not be iconic.
My first question, I got to think they sell season tickets to people out there, don't they?
In the bleachers, I don't think so.
Oh, maybe not then. Okay, because I was going to say,
I think the bleachers are just kind of you sit where you sit.
Okay, all right. Because I was going to say, if you were a season ticket holder, I would be pretty upset at this point. But yeah,
I don't know. That's actually a good question.
One of the most famous things about Wrigley Field will not exist until what, June?
At the earliest.
Wow.
The bleachers are where all the interesting people sit, and by interesting people I mean the drunks. But hey, they're going to have a new scoreboard.
Oh no, the people that always have the seats on top of the buildings feel about that scoreboard.
They're probably pissed.
Yeah, and it's a disaster. They're not going to have it done by June. There's no way. There's no way.
And you know what? Looking at it now and having the giant video board, 50 yards away from the old-timey scoreboard in center field, that really takes away. Because I went to Wrigley 4 or 5 years ago. And I loved it because it was Wrigley Field and it was everything you wanted it to be with the ivy and the bleachers and the scoreboard and the old timiness. At that point, they had a little prop up Toyota ad out beyond the bleachers. And I was like, well, that's kind of lame, but it's what they have to do with an old timey stadium. And now that they're remodeling the whole thing, I don't like this.
No.
What is with Chicago and just destroying classic stadiums?
I don't know, but because they absolutely ruined Soldier Field. Just ruined it. You guys are probably too young to remember what it was like before they did all this to it. It was really cool.
I know it looks stupid now.
Yeah, and then this is my question. I've always wondered this about Wrigley Field or Fenway. Okay, yes, they're great, iconic ballparks. I get all of that, but they can't survive in this day and age anymore. So why don't you do this? Instead of trying to put a square peg into a round hole, which is essentially what you're trying to do here, why not go build a Wrigley Field with all the modern amenities and make it exactly the same dimensions and recreate as much of it as you possibly can with adding all the other stuff in instead of doing shit like this? Wouldn't that be a better option?
Like the Yankees did?
Like the Yankees did, exactly. Yeah. You can't modernize Wrigley Field because it's just ridiculous.
They're trying to do the same thing that Boston did where, you do enough to try and keep the original building.
Yeah.
so that you can say that this is still the original Wrigley Field. This is where, Ernie Banks played, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, well, if you take away all the things that make Wrigley Field special, what does it really make it Wrigley Field anymore?
No, it's just a shitty old ballpark with a giant scoreboard. That's what it is.
It's gonna be a ballpark with a giant scoreboard and leaves on the fence.
Exactly. I think they would have been better off if they had to upgrade to get more revenue streams. I mean, let's be honest, that's what all this is about. Why not just make a new stadium instead? And I don't think that anyone would argue with turning Wrigley into like a national landmark or whatever you've got to do to preserve it. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. I mean, maybe some people would, but not that many. I don't get it.
According to this story, the left field bleachers will be ready by May 11th, and the right field bleachers are to be completed by mid-June.
I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, if you couldn't get it done when there was no one there and nothing was going on, what makes me think you're going to suddenly be able to pull it off when there's going to be games taking place and all this other stuff? Wow.
According to a good friend of mine, Biff.
You have a friend named Biff? Seriously?
No, supposedly the Cubs are going to win the World Series this year. They're going to beat Miami.
Biff from Back to the Future.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the Miami Gators.
Who are they going to beat, though?
Aren't the Marlins going to do some Gators-related stuff this year? And celebration of their...
No.
Oh, okay.
That was an April Fool's joke, I think.
Oh, was it really?
Yes.
Motherfucker. I was sitting here all day and I'm going, I didn't get tricked by any April Fool's stuff until now. All right. Well, don't I look like an idiot? Well, it seemed reasonable enough to me. Yeah, so do I. Especially now.
Not necessarily because I don't like being pranked or anything like that. That's fine. I get that. But I can't use the internet that day.
No, you can't.
The Gators thing didn't seem that unreasonable to me. The Colts thing, I would have said, no way.
This day is a scourge on all of us.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It seemed reasonable to me. I thought that's kind of a neat thing, but I guess, I was duped.
April 1st is a terrible day to go online, and honestly, I can't wait until 2015 is over and we never have to hear a Back to the Future 2 joke again. Where are my hoverboards?
Well, I think they should have done it. I think it would have been a cool thing to do. So screw whoever put that joke up.
Whenever I guarantee you, when the Cubs play the Marlins this year, they'll do something somewhere. Wasn't
that what the story said, that they were gonna? I don't remember. I only saw it. I glanced at it. It was like a Facebook thing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a neat idea, and I went right on. I didn't even bother to read it. That'll teach me.
The official team payroll figures are out for Major League Baseball. Who has the highest payroll in Major League Baseball
right now?
Yes.
It's got to be the Dodgers.
Los Angeles Dodgers, you're number one by a full
$11 billion.
No, by a full $53 million higher than the number two team. The Dodgers are in at number one with $272,879,040.
Are the Yankees? No, it's probably Boston at number two, right?
Yankees are number two, $219,282,196.
Wow. That Yankee money, that's a lot of money to spend for 84 wins. That's a lot of money.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I'm looking at these payrolls. Let's see. Tigers fine, Giants fine, Nationals fine, Angels fine. Texas Rangers have the 8th highest payroll.
That's an awful lot of money to spend for 68 wins.
$142 million.
Wow.
The Phillies are the 9th highest payroll, $135 million.
The Phillies.
Another team that's not doing much of anything.
Your Toronto Blue Jays, Mike, are the 10th highest payroll in Major League Baseball.
Really?
Yeah, we're playing Canadian money here.
But this is $122 million American dollars.
I don't know what that comes up to.
500,000 Canadian? 500 million Canadian.
It's a shame the Jays. They got those great new uniforms, and they just it's a shame. They should be better.
Who is the cheapest team in Major League Baseball?
Houston. Got to be.
Houston's second to last.
Really?
Oh, okay.
$70,910,000.
Who was cheaper than? Okay.
It's fairly obvious once you see it. Think of a team that gets rid of everyone all the
Marlins.
Time.
Marlins, yeah.
Yes. Miami Marlins, $68 million payroll. The Marlins are at 68. Compare that to the number one, which is the Dodgers at 272. Almost 5 times as much.
Yeah. Where are the Royals at on that?
The Royals are 16th, $113,618,000.
Wow. What were you going to say, Mike?
I just said that the Marlins. What's their owner? Jeffrey Loria?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's always been a cheap son of a bitch, and he's always been a guy who, well, quite frankly, just treats the team as a money machine.
He's the guy that was the reason behind why we no longer have the Expos, right? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Another reason to hate his guts. Did you guys ever watch any? They did. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? They did basically like a Hard Knocks thing, except it was on the Marlins. Did you guys see any of that?
No, what was it?
I forget what it was called. It was I think Showtime did it. It was basically a ripoff of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
And they went behind the scenes with the Marlins like that. It was back when Ozzie Guillen did the whole Fidel Castro thing, and all that's the year it took place.
Okay.
But you get to meet Jeffrey Loria, and I forget who the guy is that's the GM or whatever. And within 10 minutes, you automatically just hate their guts right out of the gate. That's just how annoying and what assholes they are. But I don't remember
That, and they have a stupid fucking modern art sculpture that erupts from the outfield.
Oh, come on. You got to love that thing. That thing is so ridiculous.
Have you ever heard the Marlins theme song or the Marlins fight song?
No.
We are the Marlins. Go fish. You've never heard that?
No. Is it real?
No.
Oh, it's a thing.
We are the Marlins. Go fish.
I'm going to YouTube and getting this for you. Here you go.
All right, here we go.
At least I think this is it. Better be.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
God
Everything is great in the Sunshine State.
We are the Marlins.
That is poetry, ladies and gentlemen.
God damn it. God damn this team.
Yeah, that's an actual thing that got played at the stadium.
Wow. I do, though. I really like, I don't even know what you call that thing in center field. Do they have a name for it? Is there a single name for that, whatever it is?
I call it ugh.
Lee on the boards said it best. Thousands of years in the future, archaeologists are going to dig that thing up and make all sorts of presumptions about our civilization based off of it. It must have been some fish god they worshipped. He must have been the most revered god.
Since Monday or Sunday and Monday is the start of the MLB season, want to throw down some uninformed predictions?
Yeah, I think we should.
I'm good for that. Let me get out a pen and paper so when one of my predictions turns out to be right, I'll hold it over everyone.
Didn't you get one right last year?
Yes, the Angels ended up winning the AL West. And I was so proud of that.
What did we pick them to? What did we pick them to be? Wild card teams, Zach? Is that what we did? Because I know we both picked them to make the playoffs.
I don't remember. I think I
either.
picked them to win the division because.
No, Mike was the only one that got the division. I remember that because he, like you said, he lorded it over us for a good long while.
Then maybe it was a wild card.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't even remember the Angels being in the playoffs because they got so quickly.
God, that was a disaster. Okay,
You just ran into a team of destiny that then ran into the team of even-numbered years.
All right, so what do we got this year?
So let's start with the American League East. Last year, your champion were the Baltimore Orioles. They bested the Yankees by 12 games. The Blue Jays by 13. Dead last was the Red Sox.
Were the Red Sox last year?
Again.
No. Red Sox were, that was the year after they won the World Series, too. They were pulling a little bit of their own San Francisco Giants thing there. I think Baltimore takes it again.
Well, the Blue Jays don't have any pitching anymore, so.
Hey.
They are 18 and 12 in spring training games.
Canada's team?
I do believe in Canada's team. As the commercials on Rogers Sportsnet have been reminding me, one country, one team, one destiny.
Oh, well, I mean, I know the Raptors are We the North, but I saw something where the Blue Jays are Fear the North.
Fear the North.
Really?
Well, the thing is that the Blue Jays are owned by Rogers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Rogers bought half of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, which owns the Raptors. So now it's all one corporate clusterfuck. And so they're just taking slogans. I don't know.
I got to look at this.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with the Orioles winning.
Yeah, I think the Orioles are still the most complete team in the division, and the Rays will probably finish dead last
because that team just fell apart.
Yeah,
over the offseason.
Then mix up the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox and see what comes out. I don't know. Maybe the Red Sox could compete, but I think the Orioles are the most complete team in that division.
Yeah, I got to go along with that. I think the Yankees, like I said, 84 wins would be a good season for them. Just they're old.
They got 84 last year.
Oh, is that what they had last year? Oh, look at me. I'm going to Orioles. I think Red Sox are in it. Rays are dead last. And then, pick where you want to put the Blue Jays and Yankees.
Yeah. In the AL Central, the Detroit Tigers won the division by 1 game over the AL champion wildcard Kansas City Royals. The Indians finished 5 back, and Minnesota was in the cellar with 20 games back.
I don't know, guys. You got to take into account the Twins have those new golden home uniforms, which I'm sure will inspire them to victory.
Yes. The Tigers lost Scherzer. They still get Verlander and Pfister, and they still have Miguel Cabrera. But the Royals...
I don't see the Royals doing it again.
You don't see the Royals... they were 1 game away from winning the division.
Yeah. I think they had one of those...
I think the experience last year helps them.
It helps them, yeah, but I think they had one of those years where everything just fell right.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. They defied sabermetrics, which I love them just for that alone. I don't know. The Tigers, though, the Tigers they're so loaded every year.
Okay. Baseball needs feel-good stories. It really does.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be an optimist, and I am going to pick the Royals to pull off the Central this year.
I'm going to say Royals win the Central, and the Tigers get the wild card.
Royals.
I'm going to go with the Detroit Tigers win the division like they always do. And you ready for my big dark horse idiot pick of the year?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
The Chicago White Sox
What?
get the wild card. Yes.
How?
Because
With
they've
who?
made some quiet, nice improvements this year. I really think they're a better team this year. They signed Melky Cabrera. Come on.
Oh.
Well, that's the season's over. Just give them the World Series.
Mike, it's funny that you mentioned the Royals song. You know why the song is named Royals?
Yeah, didn't the artist see like a Kansas City Royals shirt or something?
She saw a video of George Brett.
Oh, I remember we talked about this last year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like you know what? I'm going to back off on that White Sox prediction, but just remember that I made it in case it actually happens.
You had some bold confidence there for all of 30 seconds.
Right. I'm going to go with my hometown Cleveland Indians as the wild card.
Really?
Yep.
They have to make waves.
Picking the Tigers, making the Indians in the wild card, and Royals no go.
Look, I love the Royals. It was one of the best things that have happened in a long time in baseball. I just don't think that they're as talented as they played last year.
Okay. I think the Indians can make a mess of things in there too. But yeah,
they picked up Brandon Moss in the offseason, which I think is going to be a nice move for them because he had pretty good power playing in Oakland, and now he gets to play at Jacobs Progressive Field Park, whatever they call it these days. And I think it's going to increase his power numbers. I think he's going to have a breakout year. So there you go. Tigers.
Billy Mays Hayes is going to win the...
there you go.
In the American League Western Division,
it's
your
the Houston
champion.
Astros' time to shine because we all know that they have that 2015 is the Astros' year.
The Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, were your champions with the best record in the American League, the best record in all of Major League Baseball. 98 wins, 10 games clear of the Oakland A's, who, if you remember, Oakland was in first place on July 1st. What happened to that?
Oh, they fell right off the cliff.
Sabermetrics happened.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of the more fun things that happened.
It really was. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun.
The fantastic part about that A's collapse was that even then they just snuck into the playoffs, like the one-game playoff, and that game was a microcosm of their entire season.
It really was. They got up to a big lead, right?
Yep.
And then they blew it.
And then they blew it, yeah. Yeah, I again...
Oakland was 10 games back. Seattle 1 game back of Oakland for that potential wild card spot. And then Houston was 28 games behind the Angels, and Texas was dead last. 31
What happened to the Rangers?
I don't know, but
Rangers had the third worst record in all of baseball last year.
How do you feel when you're the Texas Rangers with that payroll and you're, a couple years off a World Series appearance and you finish behind a freaking Triple A?
They were an out away from winning that World Series.
Yeah, and you finish behind a Triple A.
A strike away.
Yeah.
If Nelson Cruz just jumps instead of letting that go over his head, and then David Freese, and then we'll see you tomorrow night.
Who do you like in this one, Zach?
Angels.
Yeah.
I like the Angels to win the division again. I think they've only gotten better. And again, as long as they stay healthy, that was my caveat last year. They lost Garrett Richards at the end of last year, but they seemed to almost play better without him, which was strange.
Right.
But he was a guy they could have used in the playoffs for sure. But I think as long as everything stays on the course, I think the Angels made themselves a little bit better. I think they'll win the division. Maybe not by 10 games again. But they'll win comfortably, probably by like 5 or 6 games.
I got to tell you, I'm really getting geeked up here talking this baseball. I can't wait for Sunday night. Mike, go ahead. I'm gonna think this one over a little bit further.
The Angels, they're just so dominant last year that it's sort of one of those things where I feel I can't pick against them until they give me a reason to.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with the Angels to repeat. Plus, as has been discussed on the Kramer boards, the Angels are fueled by the eternal power of fish-based players.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike Trout is your MVP again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kid's something, man.
And wasn't one of the and then I think it was brought up that one of the pitchers in Angels in the outfield his last name was Bass.
Well, yeah, and Tim Salmon does
Tim
TV
Salmon
for them now.
Yeah, so the power of fish is what's going to propel them.
I tell you, Tim Salmon for a couple years, I thought this kid's a Hall of Famer, but
he finished with 299 home runs.
Yeah,
I think in his second to last game, he hit this ball that just was straight up in the air, but right down the right field line, just almost curved around the foul pole.
Oh.
But it came short, and he got it at the fence. And I was like, you were that close to 300 home runs, and you couldn't get it. But anyway, for the wild card, I think it comes out of the West, and I think it might just be the Seattle Mariners.
I absolutely agree.
Well, there's two.
I think Oakland's treaded the line a little too long.
Yeah,
and I think I think that collapse last year might push them.
The calculator finally blows up.
Yeah.
Mariners are a good. I'm going to go with Tigers and Mariners as the two teams in the wild card play-in game.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. The Angels win the division. The Mariners are going to be a lot tougher this year than they were last year, but I take the Angels, and I like the Mariners as the wild card. So my American League, my two wild cards are the Mariners and Indians. Ooh, a rematch in '95. There we go.
I've got the Orioles in the East, Royals in the Central, Angels in the West, with the two wild card teams being the Tigers and Mariners. Honestly, outside of the East is, if I'm being brutally honest, it's the Orioles and then a bunch of garbage.
Baltimore in the East, the Tigers in the Central, Angels in the West. My wild card teams are the Mariners and Indians.
Mm-hmm. Co-sign everything Mike said. Orioles, Royals, Angels, Tigers, Mariners.
All right.
In that stupid playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baseball.
Shorten the damn season to 154 games and make it a real series if you're going to do it. But I digress.
It's really a long season. Into the National League. The National League East, the best record in the National League belonged to the Washington Nationals. They had 96 wins last year and won the East by 17 games over the Braves and Mets. The Phillies brought up the rear in that division, and the Marlins made a push for the wild card late in the season, but Giancarlo Stanton getting hit in the face with a baseball
doesn't help much. Yeah,
doesn't help. No. I mean, this division's garbage.
Yeah.
It's really a crap division from top to bottom outside of the Nationals, and they got stronger by getting Scherzer. I think the Nationals probably run away with the division again, compete for the top spot in the league again.
I like the Nationals, and the rest. I tell you who's going to make a nice move this year, but not enough. The Mets are going to be a lot better this year, but not quite up
You
to
think
that
they'll be in wild card contention?
I think they will. Yeah, I do. I mean, look at they get to play the bulk of their games against that shitty division, and that's going to help them a lot. Yeah,
true.
It's the same logic with the Angels and the AL West. In the NL East, the Nationals were just so dominant that I just can't pick against them until they give me a reason to. So, given the state of the division, it's theirs to lose.
Viva la Expos.
Zombie Expos.
So we'll move on from that quick jaunt through the East to the Central, where everyone's favorite team, the St. Louis Cardinals, won the Central again last year, surging behind the Pittsburgh Pirates. With 90 wins, they beat the Pirates by 2 games. Pirates were in the wild card game, and the Milwaukee Brewers were in first place in that division for a long time last year.
Yeah.
But couldn't hold it up till the end. And, of course, everyone's favorite resurgence pick, the Chicago Cubs, finished dead last, 17 games behind the Cards.
Again, I don't see why people think the Cubs are going to go from 73 wins last year to a World Series win this year, but that's just me.
Again, I'm going to be an optimist about baseball, Pirates.
Zach, who you got?
Oh, I want the Pirates. But, of course, interesting development with the Pirates. Andrew McCutchen cut off his dreadlocks.
Yes, he did.
Will this be Samson from the Bible?
Yes. All over? His source of power may be gone. I don't know. The Pirates seemed a little shaky to me last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust them enough. I want them to be better. The Brewers came out of nowhere last year. I don't know where that came from. The Reds should have been better, but they were bad. And,
I think the window's closing on the Reds really quickly right now.
Yeah, very quickly. Where's Joey Votto now?
Yeah, I think it might even be closed at this point.
Yeah. So I think just based on process of elimination, Cardinals, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm with everybody else. I would love to see the Pirates win that division, but I don't know how they got to 88 wins last year, honestly, because they are a shaky bunch. They don't hit very well. Bullpen was great, but the starting pitching is iffy. And, the Cardinals are the Cardinals, man. I mean, love them or hate them, but they do what they do. I'm picking the Cardinals in the division. I think the Cardinals are going to be better.
Do you think the wild card comes out of here?
Wow. Looking at, it could, but I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that for a minute.
It's either there or you get 2 wild cards out of the West, which is possible with the way the Padres have made some moves.
That's why I'm not ready to jump right on the Pirates as the wild card team. I think the Padres are going to be a lot better. Who knows what the Giants are going to do?
Yeah.
And like I said, the Mets are going to be better too, so there's that to consider. Okay, go ahead, the West.
Over to the West, the Los Angeles Doyers were the division champions, 94 wins, won the division by 6 games. They had the best road record in all of baseball, 49 wins on the road. The Giants were the wild card team, and of course they went on to the World Series to play the Royals and win the World Series, 88-74 last year. The Padres were third place, 17 back of the Dodgers, but of course the Padres traded for an entire outfield in the offseason. And the Rockies, they had some injury issues, but I don't think they're going to be that much better, even with Tulowitzki and Carlos Gonzalez for a full year. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, they'll wear the throwbacks a couple times this year, and they'll look neat.
That'll be nice, I guess.
They'll look good again.
I never liked those uniforms. I actually prefer the ones they have now.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
I gotta go with the Dodgers. Just they're too strong, and even in spite of Don Mattingly, they're still a very good team.
Geez, just think if Joe Madden had gone to L.A. instead of Chicago, how good would the Dodgers be?
They'd be dangerous.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
Dodgers are too good. I'm at the point now where I'm kind of over shooing them in for like my World Series pick just because they kind of have to prove that they can do it. But as far as the regular season goes, exactly.
A lot of teams need to learn how to do that.
Exactly. But in terms of the regular season, yeah, it's going to be all Dodgers.
I agree.
Show.
I think the Dodgers. I think an interesting pick for a wild card might be seeing the Padres make a run at it. But it's the Dodgers division. I don't think the Giants are going to be very good this year. Rockies and Diamondbacks are just awful, and there you go.
I think the Giants are still going to make it into the wild card game.
Do you?
And then I'd put it between the Padres and the Mets, trying to actually make the wild card game. The Padres made a lot of moves, but I don't know how well it's going to gel together. I have a lot of faith in Bud Black. I love Bud Black as a manager, going back to his days as the pitching coach for the Angels. But I don't know. I want the Padres to succeed so bad. I love San Diego as a city. I like the Padres. Petco Field is gorgeous. I love going to games, so it would always be better if they had a better team to go down there and watch.
Bring back the crowd would help.
I'm not sold on them. I'm not sold.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing in the National League this year is going to be the wild card race. The divisions are not going to be very well. Maybe the Central, but I think the division maybe. But the wild card race is where the fun's going to be. I'm going to, you know what? the Mets have, what's his name, Harvey coming back this year. I'm going to pick them as one of my wild cards, and
yeah,
I think the Pirates are going to end up getting the second one. Shaky and all, but I don't know how they do it, but they keep doing it. So Pirates and Mets are my
I'm going
wild cards.
through Cardinals mode. I'm not even putting the Cardinals into the wild card. Reckless, I know, but
risky
screw the
move.
Cardinals. My wild card picks are the Giants and Cubs.
Cubs getting a little, yeah. You know what? We kind of
Mike's going to be the one.
dismissed
I'm going to be
them.
the guy. I'm going to be the guy. Like I look, Madden. I don't know. He's got that it factor as far as managers
Madden's
go.
got the it factor. The pitching's a little better.
Yeah.
They got Anthony Rizzo.
Yep.
Chris Bryant's going to start playing for him eventually. They've got some pieces. So, who do we think will play in the World Series and win the World Series? In the American League, I'm an unapologetic homer. I don't think the Angels can meet Team of Destiny 2 years in a row. And, of course, if healthy, Garrett Richards is a difference maker when it comes to the top of the rotation. So I'm going to pick the Halos in the American League. In the National League, oh boy.
It's tough, man.
The Nationals are good, but I don't have faith in them being able to win the big games.
Yep.
The Dodgers are good, but I don't have faith in them being able to win the big games.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the only team that I have any faith in winning big games, because they do it like a terrorist, that's probably a bad choice of words.
No, they don't have knives.
That's true, they don't. Is the Cardinals.
Put 5 points on the board for Mike for going back and making a reference from 2 segments ago. Well done.
Woo!
All right.
I'm going to go with... Screw it. The Miracle Mets. How about that?
I like it. I do.
The Mets. I'm gonna.
Mets. Angels winning the World Series.
Mets could do a little Royals type thing this year. That would be a lot of fun.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. Great
I'm gonna
uniforms. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna go with the Angels out of the AL. Again, I just think they're too good. And in the NL, I'm gonna go with Dodgers. I'm gonna say we get an all LA series.
Okay. That would
Dodgers,
be cool.
Angels.
That
The
would be
series
cool.
that everyone's picked for the last, 5 years.
Exactly, and it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah,
It just has to.
Just
It
like
has
Sharks
to.
Capitals was eventually going to happen, except it didn't.
Sharks
My
Capitals.
picks for the World Series are, wow, this is tough. I want to pick the Angels, but my gut says the Baltimore Orioles.
Wow.
So
okay.
I'm going to go with the Orioles out of the American League. Kind of a little reverse jinx thing I got going on there, too.
Sure.
And in the National League, God, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be the Cardinals.
I know. I want to put a caveat on my pick. The Mets are just out of spite of the Cardinals.
My entire NL side of this prediction is based off of spiting the Cardinals.
We are now talking hockey. Hockey.
National Hockey League hockey. Let's see.
Oh, we've had some playoff spots clinched since our last meeting.
Playoff spots clinched, and the Anaheim Ducks clinched their third consecutive Pacific Division title last night.
Aren't you excited, Zach?
I am very excited.
It's another banner.
Nothing but positive thoughts.
Nothing but positive thoughts. Because because I'm not going to say the only thing that went through my head when I said, "Oh, good, another banner." Oh God, don't be the Sharks. That wasn't my thought.
Don't be the. You've got a cup. You'll never be the Sharks.
Well, since last week, we talked about there were a few teams that were within shouted. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams with 100 points now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All teams that have clinched playoff spots: Montreal, Tampa, the Rangers, Preds, and Ducks, all over 100 points. The Ducks leading the pack at 107 points, leading the President's Trophy race. However, the Rangers have 3 games in hand on the Ducks, only 4 points back.
Oh, they're going to tank in those games because they don't want that trophy.
This is the way that I look at the President's Trophy. Now that we're in a position where we could possibly win it, if the Rangers win those games and win the President's Trophy, cool. We had a good shot. If the Ducks end up winning the President's Trophy, neat. Another banner. Cool. The President's Trophy means 0 to me.
When was
Other
the
than,
last time a team that won the President's Trophy also won the Stanley Cup.
2002 Red Wings.
No, wasn't it the Blackhawks last time when they beat Boston? Weren't they the President's Trophy winner?
I don't believe so.
Because that
wasn't after the lockout season.
That
right?
was the lockout season, and the Blackhawks had that great season that quote unquote saved hockey.
Right? Yeah.
What year was that? Was that 2000?
Our first
what year did the
year,
Blackhawks win?
2012, 2013. First year we started doing the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were the President's Trophy winner that year.
Before that, was it 2002?
2002 Red Wings.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm just saying.
And then, of course, we had the Sharks, who won the President's Trophy, and then, to remind Zach of this, the Ducks ended up beating them in the first rounds. It's just one of those things where you kind of would rather not have it. Which, again, I find so strange, just because, we just kind of came off baseball. Every year in baseball, we always seem to get the people who are saying, oh, well, wild cards are stupid. Like you should win something in the regular season to play for the World Series. And then in hockey, it's the exact opposite. Nobody wants to win the President's Trophy.
Right. I always found that strange.
But it's kind of the same thing in baseball, though, as with the President's Trophy. The best record I don't remember the last time the best record in baseball won the World Series.
Well, yeah, now that we've introduced wild cards and things.
Yeah. Well, since I'm going to be rooting for my second team throughout this, I don't want the Rangers to win the President's Trophy. But I want to see, really quick, look at the Columbus Blue Jackets. 9-1 in their last 10, won 7 in a row.
I think it was McCarthy who brought up a point that in both this month and January, they've had fantastic records.
Yeah, December and March, they have 21 wins. So the rest of the months, they have 16.
This team could be scary good if everyone didn't die.
I don't know how to find out what their record is since everybody got healthy. But they've been really tough. Anyway, they're not going anywhere this year.
In the East, the battle for the 8th spot's kind of cooled down a little bit. Ottawa had that run. They got in there for a minute.
And then the Hamburglar finally fell apart.
Yeah, so now Boston has a 3-point lead. Ottawa has a game in hand, so they could be just 1 point back. But I think the playoff teams in the East are set. However, the seeding, still a lot of movement to be had over in the East.
Wait, Ottawa's only 3 back with, 6 to play?
Boston's playing well. And Boston has an easy schedule down the stretch. Easier schedule, I should say. Over in the Western Conference.
Look at the Purds.
The Purds, they're staying strong. They fell down for a minute, fell behind St. Louis, but they've surged back here But really who's surging was Minnesota.
Interesting story. Since January, Minnesota has had the best points differential at plus 47 since January.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tell you what, when I watched that team play against the Blue Jackets on New Year's Eve, they didn't look good at all. Did not look good at all.
No, since January, they're plus 47. The next highest team is Calgary at plus 12.
Wow.
The Wild are on a tear. They're really the one team I don't want the Ducks to play in the first round.
And I just want to point out, and I will lord this over you guys till the end of time, that I picked the Wild to come out of the West. So there you go.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it happens. We'll see how it shakes down.
I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying if they do.
Of course, the looming specter over the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Kings, currently the last team out, 88 points. 2 points behind Winnipeg with a game in hand. 3 points behind Calgary with a game in hand. The Kings play Calgary. Calgary plays the Kings and Winnipeg down the stretch.
Oh,
it's going to get interesting. It's going to get ugly.
LA plays the Oilers tonight, and they have another game against the Oilers later.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think they also play Colorado and Dallas. And actually, fun. This will be fun. The final day of the season, Calgary plays in Winnipeg, and the Sharks play at Los Angeles. Now, could you imagine a scenario where all the Kings have to do is beat the Sharks and make the playoffs, and the Sharks know this, and the Sharks remember what happened to them last season. The Sharks do all they can to make sure the LA Kings do not make the playoffs.
If it were any other team but San Jose, I'd be right there with you, but
I know. The Sharks aren't making the playoffs either, so it's all good for me. It's all good with me.
Hey, the Sharks are 5 points back with 5 to play.
Here's the thing about the Sharks. You're asking them to go in and do something that would require a clutch performance.
That's true.
I just don't see. I would love it, but again, if it were Colorado, even Edmonton, Arizona, anybody but San Jose, and I'm like, yeah, they could knock them out of the playoffs. But the Sharks will probably lose 9-1. Just my opinion on the matter.
Please don't say that.
I'm sorry. Call them as I see them.
The West is set outside of LA possibly making it in, and really, it seems like more of a question of when, not if. So what do you think?
Winnipeg should get in on the strength of their fan base alone.
Didn't you say the Kings play the Edmonton Oilers twice?
Yeah. Here's their schedules down the stretch. Los Angeles. They're home for Edmonton, Colorado.
No.
They go on the road to play Vancouver and Edmonton and Calgary. And then they finish up last day of the season playing the Sharkies. Winnipeg, they're home against Vancouver. On the road at Minnesota, at St. Louis, and Colorado. And then home against Calgary to finish the season.
Oh.
That's tough. That St. Louis, Minnesota, those games, that's going to be hard.
Calgary is at St. Louis tonight. Then they're at Edmonton, home against Arizona, home against LA, and then they finish up the season final day at Winnipeg.
Ooh, this could get ugly.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? It's going to be Calgary-Winnipeg is going to be like an elimination game.
That's the doomsday scenario.
And then the Kings go on a magical run and win the cup.
You know what, though? As a really...
Wouldn't you guys get the Kings, though, if that's the way it finished? Being the number one seed? No?
No. Well, if the Kings finish with the second wild card, the Ducks would play the Kings.
Yeah.
If the Kings move up into the third spot in the Pacific, they'd play Vancouver in the first round. And really, I don't mind having to play the Kings. I just would rather not do it in the first round. Because then it's like all marbles on the table right from the get-go. And I don't want everything to come down to the first round of the damn playoffs. Because really, no team in the West scares me, outside of maybe Chicago and LA. And playing Minnesota in the first round. I think Minnesota will eventually weed themselves out. I think the Ducks are probably the strongest team. I think they could, if the Kings don't make it in, the Ducks are making it to a Western Conference final. There's no team in that Pacific part of the bracket that would beat them.
Ooh. You don't want to say that out loud.
I'm saying it. I'm saying
Oh, my God.
I'm saying I'm confident.
All
I'm
right.
having fun. I'm being confident in my team. Do you hear me?
These are the Stanley Cup playoffs we're talking about here.
I know.
All
I
right.
know. I know. But Winnipeg, fun story, not afraid of the Jets. Calgary, fun story, not afraid of them.
You're not afraid of the Jets. You're not afraid of the Jets until you play them in the playoffs and their fans chant hurtful things at you.
Your captain's bald. And then we chant back, we all know that. Get some Rogaine, that's what we said. Anyway, as long as the Ducks don't play the Kings in the first round, I'm okay. You play them in the second round, all right, it's a battle. But I don't want to have to fight for.
You don't want to have to ratchet it up to that level right out of the gate, is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Because it's hard to do, and especially if the Kings come in on a tear, and then it's so many bad things could happen. So many bad things could happen.
It's just a shame that Edmonton sucks as bad as they do.
Yeah. Well, the other part of the NHL that we forgot to look at, the bottom part of the NHL.
Right, exactly.
The Buffalo Sabres are making it a little scary for them and their fans.
They've gone on a bit of a winning streak.
Look at the Sabres. They're on fire. They've won 2 in a row.
This is not the time for heroics, Buffalo.
There was an odd scene in Buffalo last night as Toronto and Buffalo played each other. Both fans are basically rooting against their own teams. So Buffalo scores, Leaf fans cheer. Leafs scored. It was completely opposite.
They both pulled their goalies after the opening face-off.
I love those Leafs fans with the Buffalo Sabres logos cut out and taped onto their jerseys.
Buffalo and Arizona also played twice in the last week and split the games.
Hey, they're making it interesting.
One of which went to overtime, giving each team a point.
Right. And so everyone's just like, God damn it, what are you doing? This is the worst thing you could have done. But that's a funny little side plot. A lot of people are trying to bring up the discussion of we need to fix tanking.
No, we don't.
I don't know how you fix it. I just don't know how you fix it.
The only way you fix it really is to either make the draft order predetermined, like that stupid wheel the NBA was going to put out.
What, the Zionist conspiracy wheel?
Yes. Or you just make all the percentages equal for every team that misses the playoffs. Otherwise, you're going to give the teams that are worse more incentive to finish behind the other ones than the opposite.
The problem of tanking is there's, like, short of that, you really can't fix it. Like, what are you going to do? Just start saying, well, we think that you're losing on purpose, so we're gonna give you wins for games that you lost. Like, they're not going to do that.
Some people try to put out an idea of team that gets the highest amount of points after being eliminated from the playoffs gets it. But here's the problem with that. If you're a bad team, you can't all of a sudden become good.
Sometimes a team is just legitimately bad.
Right.
And you can't punish them. I mean, you just don't have the talent. You just don't have the talent. It's not like you're doing it on purpose.
Right.
You can't punish them for that. I mean, I suppose you could, but it's not fair.
Not every team does what Buffalo has done this year, or what Arizona's gearing up to do next year. Trying on purpose to be as humanly possible, bad as humanly possible.
Our goalie's won 3 games. Trade him.
Well, I take the Blue.
Did he just make a save? Put him on the bench. Put him on the bench.
Take the Blue Jackets, for example, though. I mean, they were, a lot of people looked at them as a playoff team going into the season. Injuries and stuff happen. So let's say that they don't get hot in the second half of the season like they are, and they're in the running for this. Do you punish? Do you say, well, okay, screw you, you're tanking when they're really not. They just don't have the players. I mean, that's why you can't fix it. It's just there's no way to do it.
It's just part of it. Some teams will tank on purpose, but at the same time, the system kind of exists as it does to try to help those teams get better. Tanking is, to me, just it is a perfect example of a necessary evil. It's not ideal. It looks bad in some respects, but at the same time, I would take it over any of the other proposals that have been offered so far.
And tanking isn't completely, it's not something that the teams can even control. Mm-hmm. Like, the Sabres management is trying to tank. The players don't want to lose. Players aren't going to lose on purpose. I can almost guarantee that players don't really give a damn where the team drafts.
It's not even foolproof anyway. Buffalo went into the season, trying to be bad, but then you've got the Coyotes, the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets got injured, the Maple Leafs, after a strong start, fell off. The Oilers, ended up having a historically bad year. So, I mean, it's not even like tanking is a guaranteed success because you can try, but some team might just be legitimately worse than you.
Not only that, but going back to the players wanting to win, I mean, let's say you're the 18th guy on the roster, right? You don't want your team to be so bad that they get enough draft picks where all of a sudden you're gone. I mean, nobody's, you don't want to lose your spot. So, no, they're not going to lose on purpose.
And half those Sabres are on the team because they won't be there next year.
Yeah.
So those players don't give a damn where the Sabres are going to be.
There is not a single player in the National Hockey League that's looking at it going, we need to play badly so our team can draft well next year. You don't look at it that way as a player. You just don't.
Yeah. So tanking
can't be fixed.
It can be kind of embarrassing if, like, people are paying full price and ticket prices and merchandise, and I understand all that. But the Sabres aren't being bad just to simply be bad. They're being bad with an end game in mind. To
get good.
They're being bad so they can get those high draft picks and they can rebuild. They're not trying to be bad forever.
And I think every Sabre fan knew what the score was going to be going into the season.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's not like they were.
You want to have fun and enjoy the games, but you know that the team's not going to be good.
And again, like, the other thing was it establishes, like, a negative culture. I don't see that at all. Like, in the Sabres case, well, one, as you pointed out, Zach, a lot of these guys aren't even going to be here next year, so it's not even going to matter. And two, but like, in terms of establishing a negative culture, I don't think so, because anyone who understands the situation goes, well, the end game is to get good. So it's going to be bad this season, but, it'll get better. I don't see it as establishing any sort of losing culture. If anything, being mediocre over a long period of time establishes a detrimental team culture.
Look at the Sharks.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs!
Nice, a little delay.
Very, very thoughtful. You took some time to think about what you were going to do with that. I appreciate it.
Very nice.
Little football statistic. Football Outsiders it's basically sabermetrics site for football.
Okay.
They make a lot of confusing stuff that even I can't understand. I like to think that some of these analytic things are fun. The ones that they've made for football, I just do not understand. Like, they make no sense.
Is there one to calculate spousal abuse? Is that a?
They're working on it. It's in development. They unleashed their aggressiveness index when it comes to the NFL head coaches. It describes how much more or less likely each coach is to go for it on a fourth down compared to his peers. What head coach went for fourth down the most this season in the NFL?
Belichick.
That was my guess.
Bill Belichick did not.
Okay.
He was 9th on the total index. Also, I will say that the coach that went for it the most on fourth down was not the most aggressive coach in the league. Jim Caldwell.
Really?
Detroit Lions went for it on fourth down in the qualifying situations more than any other team in the league.
How did they know?
He's so boring and
Right. He went for it on 14 fourth downs out of 107 opportunities.
He would have been literally the last guy I would have guessed as the number one coach in that stat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Number one was Sean Payton. He had a aggressiveness index of 2.01. He went for it 7 times out of 81. And so Belichick, you said, was probably the most aggressive. He was 9. He went for it on fourth down 8 out of a possible 106 opportunities.
Jim Caldwell. That just blows my mind.
Top 5 is rounded out by John Harbaugh and Ken Whisenhunt. Jay Gruden, Bill O'Brien, Mike Pettin of the Zoo, Bill Belichick, and 10th was your own Mike McCarthy of the Packers.
I'm going to guess that Pettin's stats increase next year because I have a feeling those new Browns uniforms are just going to energize him and make him want to go for it all the time.
Yes.
Hey, you know, guys, we are a little under 2 weeks away from the big debut of those uniforms. That is when the boards will just disappear right up their own very existence.
I'm also expecting certain proud Clevelanders to defend whatever they come up with, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, that'll be the case for sure.
College hockey. The Frozen Four has been determined.
Oh, all right.
The Frozen Four will be Providence, the Friars, North Dakota, the Sioux, no longer the Fighting Sioux.
I thought they
Boston University with super prospect Jack Eichel.
I thought they
their
couldn't
first ever trip to the Frozen Four, University Nebraska Omaha.
I was under the impression that it's not even the Sioux. It's just North Dakota that they can't even use the Sioux name. But
okay, well maybe they are just North Dakota.
I thought they talked with the Sioux and it was okay with them to use it.
Apparently, one Sioux tribe said it was okay, the other said it wasn't, and if they don't have permission from both, then they couldn't use it.
Battle Royal right there, man. Let's have it.
The most interesting thing that happened in the tournament thus far, though, in the East Regional between Providence and Miami of Ohio, Providence was up 6-2 with 12 minutes remaining. So Miami, with their season on the line, 12 minutes remaining, pulled the goaltender.
At 12 minutes?
At 12 minutes. They went on to score 3 goals. So they were down 6-5 with minutes remaining. But Providence was able to hit the empty net with 6 seconds left.
Holy hell.
To seal the win.
They couldn't get an empty netter in 12 minutes?
No.
Wow.
They pulled the goalie for 12 full minutes, scored 3 goals, and damn near got themselves into the Frozen Four. Or at least to overtime in the regional.
Wow.
That's a Patrick Waugh craziness.
That is a long time to keep a goal or keep the puck out of the net with nobody defending it. That's amazing.
And even with a minute left, there was a puck rolling towards the net, and one of the defensemen for Miami just skated as hard and fast as he could and swatted the thing while it was in the crease, inches away from
wow.
The Cincinnati Reds, they have a new addition to Great American Ballpark.
A talented team?
Hey! They've added a nursing suite to help breastfeeding mothers.
I heard about this, yes.
It's a nice looking facility with some chairs and accoutrement. It kind of looks like an old timey grandmother's place.
And windows for the pervs that want to go by and watch, right?
Right, but it's for you can bring your very young fan and change their diaper or feed them or do whatever you need to do.
It looks like the set from fucking Hee Haw. It does.
That's not how every Ohio home looks.
No.
No.
Well, that's nice. I didn't realize that was such a problem that it needed to be addressed by a baseball team, but okay.
Yeah, the Mariners have one at their
and all the pictures of little babies in Reds gear.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of creepy.
What is your opinion on bringing small children like that to games?
I don't like it.
Do they need to be able to take care of themselves to an extent? 3
or 4, I think, is the youngest it should go. Going to a game doesn't have to be a completely all-day thing. So, if you have a newborn child, it's probably best to just hire a sitter for the night and just enjoy the game.
And if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm going to take my son to his first ball game, don't you want the kid to be able to remember the experience? Not, hey, here's a picture of you in, the little holder thing, whatever those are called.
It doesn't even look like the game. It's like, here's a picture of you in this old grandma-looking house. But trust us, it was a game.
My feeling on it is this. If I had my way, there would be airlines that would be 21 and over. There would be a section of the ballpark that was 21 and over. Everything in life would have a 21 and over section. That's how I feel about it.
Damn kids, what with their YouTubes on their cell phones?
No, and believe me, I have 2 nieces and 2 nephews. I love them to death. I love kids, but you know what? Keep them the fuck away from me when I'm paying money to go see something. That's the way I feel about it.
So
get off my lawn while you're at it.
Another episode of Greg's Old, guys.
You'll understand this better when you turn 30, believe me.
Anyway.
So on that note, any final thoughts before we call it a night?
I've got none.
Maggle?
Maggle.
Go not Kings.
Go Jets. Go True
Jets.
North.
Go Jets. Go Calgary. All right, we're going to call it a night. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to the website, basicallyasportshow.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. Yeah. Check it out on Spreaker and YouTube, and that is that. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.